En wij vervolgen met twee van onze gasten voor vandaag. Samson Mow, de CEO, en Ben van Hool, de CEO van Gen3. En zij zijn sinds kort aangekomen in Suriname. En ze hebben ook een eigen technologische Bitcoin-bedrijf. En zij zullen ons vertellen wat Bitcoin allemaal inhoudt en ook de reden van hun bezoek. Welkom, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. So Samson Mow, the CEO, and Ben van Hool, the COO. And both of you guys have a company named Gen3.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit what Gen3, what kind of company Gen3 is?
Yeah, so Gen3 is a Bitcoin technology company. We focus on accelerating Bitcoin adoption around the world. We have a wallet called Aqua, which Ben can speak more to. But we also do a lot of work with governments and politicians to figure out Bitcoin strategies for countries. So we've worked in the past with El Salvador, we've engaged with the government of Madeira, the government of Prospera, and several others around the world. So we're trying to orange pill the world.
Okay, Bitcoin can be a new word for people that don't understand or know what Bitcoin means. But can you tell us what Bitcoin means exactly?
Absolutely. So the best way or the easiest way to look at Bitcoin is to see it as digital gold. It is very scarce. It is the same around the world. I mean, everyone can use it, and it is a limited amount. So it's a digital currency, but a distributed digital currency. No one owns Bitcoin, actually. It has been created by someone, and now it is out there, and people can buy it, people can use it, but there is no one that controls Bitcoin, actually.
And you're in Suriname now. Can you tell us the reason behind your visit?
Well, we're here to give you this, a Bitcoin poker chip.
What is this exactly?
It's a poker chip with some Bitcoin in it. So there's a hologram on the back, and under the hologram is a private key, which is effectively the key to some Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Ah, amazing. Can I make money with this?
No, this is money.
Okay.
Yeah. So why are we here?
Suriname?
We're here to meet with businesses and some government officials and the central bank. A second meeting with the central bank.
Okay. Can you tell us more in depth exactly?
Well, we're actually consulting on how Bitcoin can be useful for Suriname. Maybe you know about El Salvador.
Yes.
They have implemented Bitcoin, and they have seen a lot of positive reactions by doing this. And we think that there is a unique opportunity for Suriname to do this too.
Okay, so the authority of Suriname has often told the public that they are against Bitcoin. What is your, how do you see that? Is the Bitcoin a way of, that can help us in the future?
Well, yes. I mean, the way that they are looking at it is probably because they have their own currency and they want to protect that currency. And that is fine. But the Suriname currency also has a lot of issues at the moment. You have a lot of inflation. So by combining their own currency and Bitcoin as being digital gold, they can really strengthen their currency, and they could have a positive effect on the economy, on all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, mooi. And I also understood that about the Bitcoin, you guys also have a Bitcoin bond in El Salvador?
Right, so the Bitcoin bond is a structure for financial investment that I designed for El Salvador. It's a financial instrument that is similar to a traditional bond, except for 50% of it is backed by Bitcoin. So countries would still need to raise sovereign debt, but they would take half of that to buy Bitcoin and another half of the funds raised to mine Bitcoin or pursue another revenue-generating activity that would pay off the coupon of the bond. But the concept is largely that this Bitcoin bond, after a 10-year period, could potentially eliminate the debt of a country. Because by our conservative estimates, Bitcoin should grow at a median rate of 60% per year. So at 30-something thousand right now, we did this estimate when it was in the 20,000s, but in 10 years' time, Bitcoin should be at $1 million per coin. So if you have a large war chest of Bitcoin raised through this type of Bitcoin bond instrument, you could potentially eliminate all debt from your country in 10 years' time.
Okay, so you already had a gathering or a meeting with the Surinamese government. What has come out of it?
Well, obviously they are very skeptic, which is normal. I mean, they want to be careful, but they do not have a lot of understanding at this moment about what Bitcoin can do, and that is what we want to teach to them, so they can make decisions about how they should move forward. Because this is something that will happen anyway, and Suriname could actually be the second nation in the world, the second country in the world to do this. And we want to give them that opportunity.
Let's say that Suriname, would you like to say something?
Yeah. Touching on your point earlier, I don't think anybody should be against Bitcoin. So if you look at the origin of money, it is just some instrument that people choose to use to transact or to store value in. Fiat currencies like the US dollar, like the yen, etc., are modern experiments. But money at its origin is a peer-to-peer instrument that people simply transact with each other with. So seashells, gold coins, etc., Bitcoin. These are simply mediums that we choose as individuals to use. And Bitcoin is no different. So being against Bitcoin is being against people's ability to transact and use information, really.
Yeah. So I have another question. Let's see that the Surinamese government decides to start working with Bitcoin. How does it work exactly? How do you get your money's worth? How does the exchange go?
There are solutions like Bitcoin wallets that can go on your phone and where you can exchange the Bitcoin for US dollars, or where you can also use it as a payment in a shop, for instance.
So you can buy Bitcoin. I think if it's at a nation-state level, if you want to accumulate Bitcoin in the treasury, you can simply buy it from exchanges or OTC desks. But you can also accumulate Bitcoin through proof of work, which is working for Bitcoin, or one type of proof of work is working for Bitcoin. So merchants could adopt Bitcoin, they could accept it through point-of-sale terminals and simply just sell their goods for Bitcoin to accumulate Bitcoin at a merchant level.
I also think that you should not see it as an immediate process. It's something which goes slowly, and it can be like a circular economy building up over time, where people are using more and more Bitcoin going forward. And then it's a really natural process, actually. You don't have to go in all the way, just accept some Bitcoin, use some Bitcoin for a payment, and then within a few years, it has become your natural currency, your natural way of payment.
Bitcoin is known as something that's very expensive. How does a normal Surinamese person, how can he buy a Bitcoin?
Well, okay, so there is this thing called unit bias, where people think Bitcoin is expensive because the largest unit of Bitcoin is 1 BTC, which is at $38,000 right now. But actually, within 1 BTC, you can divide it into 100 million subunits, which are called Satoshis, the smallest unit. And those are relatively cheap. So it's a bit of a strange thing where people think Bitcoin is expensive.
That's what I think.
Yeah, you can actually buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You can receive Satoshis, maybe 100,000 Satoshis, 10,000 Satoshis. And the interesting thing now is we're on the verge of approval of ETFs, which will also serve to change that unit bias, because people that buy the ETF won't be buying BTC, they'll be buying shares of the ETF, and that will change the perception further. So Bitcoin is simply money. It doesn't really matter if you buy it at 1 BTC and you have 1 BTC, or if you have 100,000 Satoshis.
Okay, and how long will it take if the Surinamese authority agrees to work with Bitcoin? How long will it take for it to be integrated into our system, financial system?
Well, that really depends. They will have to do some legislation, and then you also need education of the people. So, as I said, this is not something which will happen overnight. This is something that will take a couple of years probably to be implemented. But you need to start somewhere. And you can start small and then scale up. And that's how you do it.
You can also start at grassroots level. So in El Salvador, they have Bitcoin Beach, which was a small beach surfing community where people just started accepting Bitcoin, the merchants. And that slowly grew bigger and bigger, and then eventually the country decided to adopt it as well. So you could potentially have something similar pop up in Suriname, where you have a small community of people transacting using Bitcoin in their daily lives, and that can lead to something more. But Bitcoin is simply money, so you don't actually need any decree to use it. People can simply save in Bitcoin. And I think people do, there is a good Bitcoin community in Suriname. And I think there are also people using stablecoins like USDT in Suriname. So you already have people understanding the use of this technology and the benefits of it.
Okay, and you already had your meeting with the Surinamese government. What is your look for the future for Suriname? Do you think we can accept Bitcoin?
Well, we had some previous meetings, and we will have another meeting next week. We see some opportunities and we want to present them to the government. It's up to them to decide what solution they want to implement. There are many solutions possible. There are many ways that you can advance on implementing Bitcoin in the country, and we will explain that to them. So yeah.
Bitcoin's also a way for the Surinamese people to fight inflation as well. One of Ben's concept was the central bank could acquire 1% of their reserves in Bitcoin. And our theory is that that could immediately stop inflation in the country. And we know that inflation is running rampant right now. Because if you increase the quality of your reserves, that should increase the confidence in the currency. So it's not that you're backing the currency with Bitcoin, but you're increasing the quality of your reserves.
I think it's also important to gain the trust of the Surinamese authority to be able, for them to be able to use Bitcoin. Don't you think that is one of the most important things?
Yes, I think so, because there's a lot of commercial businesses that want to do something in Bitcoin, but they are waiting for the government to give a signal. If the government says that they support the development of Bitcoin in the country and that they will create some legislation around this, only that can already attract businesses and investments in Suriname.
First, mining, because there is a massive amount of hydropower potential in the country and other green energy sources. So that's an opportunity. The other one is simply increasing tourism, because you have now a frictionless way to come to the country, spend Bitcoin. But the most important thing to pay attention to is that Bitcoin is now moving towards a status as a reserve currency, with the largest asset manager on the planet, being BlackRock, filing for an ETF and likely to get approval of that ETF. That legitimizes Bitcoin as an asset. So it doesn't really matter if you understand how Bitcoin works, how a Bitcoin transaction works, what the blockchain is, cryptography, etc. This is simply an asset that the largest asset manager on the planet is moving into. And this is your opportunity to front-run them by adopting a Bitcoin strategy for Suriname.
Okay, so there are a lot of companies, so to call, that are scamming people with Bitcoin. How do you make a distinction? Which one is real and which one isn't?
Yeah, scams are very difficult, and it has a lot to do with education. People need to understand that someone's not going to reach out to you and offer you Bitcoin because it is valuable. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. But I think the most important thing you can do to arm yourself is to know that you should stick with Bitcoin only. Everything else, ignore, disregard, because there's a lot of other cryptocurrency projects out there. A lot of them are scams, and you will lose your money if you start investing into those things. So stick with Bitcoin only and focus on self-custody, being able to keep your coins yourself.
Yes. No, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. It was an honor for you to tell us about your plans with Suriname regarding Bitcoins, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
En we hebben het hierbij gehad. U hebt dan net mogen luisteren naar een gesprek van Samson Mow en Ben van Hool, de CEO en CEO van Gen3. En dat was er dus voor vandaag voor Magazine 4.